أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Welcome everyone to another session of VOTP. Just a brief introduction on VOTP. So VOTP stands for Voice of the People. And this platform was started after October the 7th, 2023. And the whole purpose of this platform was to make each and everyone know the importance of their voice. It's the job of every individual to, first of all, demand accountability from themselves and also to raise their voice and demand accountability from our leaders at large. So we also have a sister platform called Find Your Truth, and that platform is to develop an individual and connect him with the purpose of life, connect him with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, connect him with the mission he's supposed to do on earth, and empower him to be able to do that. So please check out Find Your Truth website as well. So today we have a very important guest with us, as well as we have a very important topic to discuss. And we have Dr. Mohammed Wajid Akhter with us. He is a medical doctor in the UK. He was elected as the new Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain on January 25th, 2025. He is also a founding member of the British Islamic Medical Association and the Faculty of Medical Leadership and Management. And the topic we will be having a discussion with him today is going to be regarding the unity in our Ummah. One body, one Ummah. So let me welcome Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Mohammed Wajid Akhter. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, and inshallah we'll get started.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khairan for inviting me. I'm very grateful.
Sorry.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya al mursalin nabiyana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam alayhi tasliman jami'an kathira. Apologies, my reception is not brilliant, so I'll open my video in just a second as soon as I get a little bit better reception.
Okay.
I wanted to start off this session. I'll keep it short because I really want to hear from yourselves and maybe make it more interactive. As a medical doctor, you first have to diagnose the patient. Before you can do any treatment, you can have the best treatment in the world. You can have the cure for cancer, but if the patient has a different disease, it's not going to get any better. So the first thing you need to do before you can find the answer is find out what is the problem. And if I ask what is the problem of the Muslim community, then I'm going to get 1,000 answers. I do this exercise where I go to universities and to the Islamic Society. They have huge whiteboards. And I say, right, tell me the problems of the Muslim community. So someone will say, well, we've got Islamophobia. I was like, yes, but you have to talk to me about Islamophobia. There's different types. There's structural Islamophobia, there's racism in the street, there's violent Islamophobia. There's so many different types. There's discrimination at the job level. So write those down. Okay, what else? Well, we've got Gaza. It's a huge problem. I said, of course, Gaza, but what about Sudan? What about Rohingya? What about this? And then you start naming country after country. They say, well, what other problems do we have? We've got poverty. Well, yes, we've got poverty, but you have to go into it. Don't just say poverty is just a word. What kind of poverty do we have? We've got people who are working and they're poor. They can't afford they just literally work to eat. That's it, to survive. They can't afford education. They can't afford anything, no progress. You got poverty where people are literally can't survive they don't have food and they don't have water. They have nothing. Then you got entire countries that are literally trapped in a cycle of poverty because they've had an IMF loan and the whole country is just giving their entire GDP towards paying the interest towards the loan that they had. That's also destroying them, and so on and so forth. By the time we're finished, the whole whiteboard is covered. Hundreds of problems. There is literally no area you can tell me that we don't have a problem in. Our mosques, governance, safeguarding, fit for purpose, access for women, young people. Our madrasas, curriculum, a lack of inspiration, lack of progression. They don't prepare you for the real world. Our cities, anything that you can think of. I'll give you one example. This is because I like talking in stories because you'll remember the story. Japan, Tokyo in Japan sits on an earthquake zone. So they have an early warning system for their earthquakes. They have an early warning system which can detect the earthquake 45 seconds before it hits. 45 seconds before it hits, it sends alarm is sent off, and everyone gets a text message, an alarm goes off on their phone. 45 seconds is nothing. 45 seconds is nothing, but it's just enough time to those who are able-bodied to get out into this open. It's just enough time to call your loved ones. It's just enough time to turn off the gas, electricity, so there's no fire, there's no flooding. It's just enough time to do the basics. But you know, in Turkey, they had a huge earthquake just 2 years ago, right? Can anyone tell me how long, how many seconds does the Turkish early warning system have? So Japan, Tokyo is 45 seconds. How much is the Turkish one? Let's make it slightly interactive. So anyone shout out a number. How many seconds before the earthquake do they find out that they're having an earthquake?
After the earthquake occurs?
No. Turkey has an early warning system. They have 2 seconds.
Okay.
2 seconds. If you get a warning on your phone 2 seconds, it's not even enough time to phone your own family. Not even enough time to read the message before the earthquake hits. Now let me tell you the real story. Turkey is the only Muslim country in the world that has an early warning system. Jakarta, Islamabad, Mumbai, Tehran, Amman, Cairo, Istanbul, whole of the Muslim world are built on earthquake zones. And we don't have even one. There's only one country in the Middle East that teaches their school children what to do in an earthquake. They do earthquake drills. Only one country. Does anyone know which country that is? The whole of the Middle East, there's only one country that teaches them.
UAE?
Israel.
Oh,
No, Israel.
Right. Of course.
Why would you do it? Because we're Muslim. We're number one in dying. That's all. Right? We're number one in. And what did our Prophet ﷺ say? They remember this. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. You know, we hear a lot of hadiths. We don't hear these hadiths, which is a tragedy. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Please, if you remember nothing else from this talk, remember this hadith. There is no wisdom equal to good planning. There is no wisdom equal to good planning. And this is the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, who we do no planning whatsoever. So what am I trying to say here? I'm saying that what is the diagnosis? What's the disease that has befallen this ummah? Because we're the same people, we have the same religion, we have the same Quran, we have the same everything. To the people who were building the Taj Mahal, the Alhambra, calculating the circumference of the earth, developing algorithm, what's the difference between us and them? It's one difference. There's one disease. If you ask me as a medical doctor, everything that I talked about is a symptom. A symptom of a disease means that you have a fever, you've got pain. When someone comes to me and they say, I've got tiredness, I say, that's not a disease, it's a symptom. I need to find out why you have tiredness. Doctor, I'm bleeding. Yeah, that's a symptom, but why are you bleeding? I've got pain. Why do you have that pain? I need to go to that level, right? The disease, the cancer affecting the Muslim world is a lack of unity. We are not united. And it's the sunnah of Allah that He will always give victory and success to those who are united, whether they are good or bad. Those who are against us are united. They work together. They have a very clear vision. They have a very coherent structure, and they work very hard, and they have clear leadership. We have none of that. Who is the leader of the Muslims of India? Allah alam. I mean, some people like this guy, some people like that guy, some people like this person, but we don't have a leader. Who is the leader of the Muslims of America or the Muslims of the UK? We don't have one. We are like the blind walking on a long journey and hoping that we get to a destination when we have no one to guide us and we have no destination. It's madness, pure, utter madness. When you have a leader and you have a vision, doesn't matter how long the journey, doesn't matter how difficult, you will find a way. Eventually, success must come to you, inshallah. Right? Like when Gandhi and Jinnah stood up against the British Empire. Are you kidding me? The British Empire, the largest empire the world has ever seen. 1/4 of the world's population is under this empire. And you think you're going to stand up with your, with your lawyer's clothes or your loincloth and you're going to do something? You have a leader and you have leaders and you have a vision. We have none of that. This is the cancer. You have no unity. We need to have unity in this ummah. And if we say that, and this applies to everything, right? This applies to everything. I'll give you an example. Right now, there are parts of the Muslim world, like Gaza, like Sudan, which are dying of starvation, right? And right next to them, there are parts of the Muslim world that are dying of overeating. 70% of the Gulf Arabs are clinically obese. Pakistan has the highest number of diabetics in the world, proportionally. 1 in 5 Pakistani adults are addicted to hard drugs. 1 in 5. Right? There is this the statistics. Not 1 in 5. 1 in 20. 5%. 1 in 20 are addicted to hard drugs. So what the point I'm making is that the number of problems, if you try to solve any of the problems, I challenge you, try to solve the problem of education. What you're going to find? The lack of funding, the lack of inspirational role models, or the lack of the madrasa system, whatever, anything, they will stop you. You try to solve the health of the Muslim community, the restaurants, the poverty, it will stop you. Whatever you try to do, there will be something else that will try to stop you. Only if you go for the disease can you cure all the symptoms at one go. Just like no matter how much painkillers I give to someone for a heart attack, I'm afraid all the painkillers in the world are going to do nothing. He's still going to die. All I'm making sure is I'm trying to get rid of his pain, but I'm not dealing with the heart attack. So this is the heart attack affecting us. This is our cancer. This is our heart attack. This is our stroke. This is everything to us. And I urge you, whatever you do, if you work on education, work on education. If you're working on sports, work on sports. If you're working on mosque, work on mosque. But the overall goal should be unity. And if you do that, everything, the way you do it, how you do it, why you do it, changes. So I will give you an example. We have this everywhere. In every single town, every city, there is a gold standard mosque. Right? A mosque, when you go to, they got everything. They got a great young committee and people are going, and they've got good relationship with the government and the local authorities, and they've got facilities and they've got funding. They got everything. And in the majority of the mosques on the ground. Do you think when the riots come, do you think they're going to be like, this mosque has got great governance structure, I'm going to leave that one alone? This mosque, no, I won't touch this mosque. Why? This mosque is clean. I'm not going to. No, they're going to come for all of you. When they come for you, they come for all of us. Because that mosque, it didn't have that mindset. It's got mindset, let me fix my mosque. And everyone else, they're on their own. That individual, I'm a doctor. I'm studying. I'm working. I worked hard. I got my house. I got my car. The rest of the community they're on their own. You're still Muslim, you will still fall with the rest of us. Remember, there's a story that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, there was a town that was just engrossed in evil, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the angel to the town and he said, lift it up, turn it upside down and smash it into the ground, destroy it. And the angel came back and said, oh Allah, there is a man in that town who prays all day and all night. He is a abid and a zahid and he does everything. You told me to destroy the whole town. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, take the town up, turn it upside down, and smash it onto his head. Onto his head. Why? Because this is not a selfish religion. Islam is a team sport, not an individual pursuit. We either work as part of a community or we fail as a community. So that's my main message, that we need that vision of unity, inshallah. And if you can drive that vision home, then you are going to do a great job, because the more people who are driving that vision home, who live by that vision, the more likely we are, inshallah, that things will change, that the mindset will change, the behavior will change, the attitudes will change. That when we build something for our mosque, we are immediately thinking, what about the other mosques? When we progress ourselves, we're immediately thinking, what about others? When we get something good in our community, we immediately think, how can I expand this so that every community can benefit? We have that expansive globalist mindset. When we have that, then we will go from being an ummah in name to ummah in practice. Then we will go from just proudly proclaiming that we are 2 billion people. 2 billion people can't get a glass of water into Gaza. 2 billion people whose name is trash, and we can't produce one car between us. We should be so ashamed. Not one drug, one car, nothing. Then we'll go from 2 billion being proud of our quantity to being proud of our quality, inshallah. Now I'll go to the ending of what I was going to say, because I'd like to have a bit of discussion, as question answer. Is that okay? Where do you fit in? Because you're saying, okay, this is fine. This is what can I do? I was once in the haram in Mecca with my family. My dad called me to the edge. We were on the roof. He called me to the edge and he said, "What can you see?" So we looked over. I looked over and I said, "I can see Kaaba. I can see people. Some people doing tawaf. I can see some people going home. I can see some people doing sa'i. I can see some people, talking. I can see some people praying. Everyone, it's just random. Everyone's doing random things." He's like, "Yeah, it looks chaotic, doesn't it?" I was like, "Yeah, it does." Then he said, "Now what? Wait." The iqama went, and he said quickly, "What do you see?" And I said, "I see row upon row within a second. Row upon row, everyone is standing, feet to feet. Perfect lines everywhere within a second." And he goes, "Exactly." He goes, "This is the ummah today. We are randomly just going all over the place in chaos. All we need are people to call the iqama for unity. And if you call the iqama for unity, then our ummah will line up person by person, row by row, city by city, country by country. And when we do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send us an imam to lead us." Your job, my brothers and sisters, our job is to call the iqama for unity. We need to say we must work together, and then start the ball rolling. Something small. Even if all the people in your area work together to say, let's produce a WhatsApp, or let's do one charity drive together, or let's do one awareness event together. But it has to be together. We cannot have it just the Pakistanis, or just the Indians, or just the ladies, or just the men, or just the rich people, or just these people from this mosque. We have to do something together, because once we do one or two things together, people, they like it, they love it. It's our fitrah. We want to be together. And they said, well, what else can we do together? What's the next thing? And the next thing. And then we start doing small things together, then we start doing big things together. Then we start thinking together. Then that doesn't mean that we all think the same. It doesn't mean we all act the same. But once we start, then we can grow it from there, inshallah. Anyway, I think I've talked a lot. I'm going to pause here for a second, inshallah, and ask if anyone has any questions.
Yeah.
Or comments or suggestions.
Yes, Jazakallah khairan, brother. Yes, the audience, please go ahead and you can, raise your hand. We'll take your questions, or if you want to type it in the chat, we can take that as well. So, please go ahead. It's such an important topic. Yeah, so go ahead and type it in as well. Okay. Yeah. So, just, had a few, questions as well. So, is there any example, in our history, where, Muslims came together and, really aligned and achieved something big? I know of the Golden Civilization, but anything in the recent past?
Yeah, there are many, many examples where when Muslims work together, we were able to achieve the impossible. We can look at, for example, I mean, if we look in the long past, I mean, you can see that's how Salah ad-Din came together. It wasn't just one man. We'd like to just call Saladin, but he was the product of a system. My interest in Islamic history, so I read about how did you build this infrastructure, because Saladin is a name, but it's behind him was an infrastructure, was a system where people, right? His teacher Nuruddin, and his Nuruddin's father Imaduddin, and Saladin's father Ayub, and Imam Ghazali, and even above all of them was Nizam al-Mulk, the Grand Vizier of the Seljuk Empire, and before them Seljuk himself, who built the Seljuk Empire. All these people, Tughrul Bey, they all built a system which led eventually to Saladin's success. But in the recent past, you can look at, for example, when Muslims came together in Bosnia, right? Bosnia should have been wiped out. They had nothing. They didn't have, the Serbs had the backing of Russia. The Serbs the army was full of the Serbs. The police was full of the Serbs. The Bosnian Muslims should have been wiped out. There was nothing for them. But they had Alija Izetbegovic. They had Alija Izetbegovic. If you don't know about him, I suggest you read about him. He was a man, he was not just a politician, he was a philosopher and a scholar and a leader. And he said, he put the plan and the vision. We are going to create a Bosnia, and we're going to survive. And this is how we're going to survive. And this is what we're going to do. And this is also, we have to make some compromises. And this is where we're going to make compromises. And this is how we're going to make compromises. And because of this man, and because of his vision, and because of his leadership, and because the Bosnian community united around him, they didn't start breaking up into groups. There was just one group, one Bosnian group that broke away, and they allied with the Croats and the Serbs against the Muslims, even though they were Muslims themselves. And the Bosnians had to defeat those guys as well. But the majority, they stayed with Alija Izetbegovic. You can go to Sarajevo and see. It exists. It exists because there was leadership, there was people who came together. And there were many examples like that. To be honest, the reason why we're here today is because, we're all the sons and daughters of colonialism. The reason we're here today is because people had a vision, people had leadership. They said they worked together to get us here. I'll tell you one last story. There was a graveyard in Algeria, and in this graveyard, a group of people, they gathered together, a large group of people, but there was no one they were burying. They gathered around the old grave, and they took a stick and they tapped it on the grave 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. Everyone started crying. What happened? This was the grave of Sheikh Ibn Badis. And Sheikh Ibn Badis was one of the great scholars of Algeria who spent his whole life working to get rid of the French from Algeria. He was not just a normal scholar. He built the Union of Scholars, but he built the Journalists Union. He also started the second biggest football team in Algeria, because he knew that you need to work on every level. And when he was dying, he told his students, he goes that, after I die, when you kick out the French, not if, when you kick them out, come to my grave and tap on it 3 times to give my soul sukoon. So that's what they did. We have too many examples. We are the product of the examples of this happening. But the question is, are we going to be the ones who emulate those examples?
Inshallah, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all united and, have a proper plan and leadership, inshallah, to be successful, inshallah.
Ameen, ameen.
We
Any
have,
other questions?
Yeah, we have a question in the chat by Brother Mansoor. How do we get unity in today's world since we are divided in several sects? Any books you would recommend for it? Yeah, I guess this is with regards to different sects that we are divided. Yeah.
Could we take 2 or 3 questions just because then I'll answer them together?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, Brother Armagan, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Yeah, Brother Armagan, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I have a question. I wrote it down a minute ago. I'll just quickly just try to find it. 1 second. Yeah.
Have you found it, Again? Yeah, go.
Yeah,
Come back to you, inshallah, when you find it. Let's
No,
go. Anyone else?
I found the question, so if I'm all right to ask it.
Go ahead.
All right. So, Dr. Muhammad, I was listening to one of your
Go for it.
podcasts or interviews with, I'm not sure if it was the Thinking Muslim or the Thinking Youth, but you were talking about Badr, and you mentioned how the prior to Badr, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was training the Sahaba with raids and attacks on like the different tribes and even like some of the caravans of Quraysh. And you were saying that he was preparing the Ummah at that time psychologically and physically as well. So I was wondering, like, do we even like have those type of programs in the modern world, or can we even have those types of you could say spiritual and physical training for Muslims?
Okay. I'll take one more question. I'll answer them together, inshallah.
Brother Wajid, could you tell us why we've been trying for 2 years? It's coming up to 2 years from the Palestine issue. We are trying to unite. Why haven't we united? What is missing? What are we doing wrong?
Thank you. It's good questions. Okay, so let me answer Brother Armagan's question first, because I think the first and the third one are kind of related. So, the Prophet ﷺ was training the Sahaba for a very specific purpose, and remember that was just my interpretation. There's no like definitive proof of it, but that's my thought process that what could explain it. Everything we do is training. Like the way that the Muslims faced COVID was training. The way that we're dealing with the rise of the Islamophobic narratives is training for us. The way that we're dealing with the rise of drug crisis or the cost of living crisis across the world is training for us. This is all training. None of this is like not training for us. So everything that you do becomes a lesson or a punishment. If you are someone who is in a learning and thinking mode, even a negative experience is a lesson that you learn from, right? But if you are a community that is in permanently reactive mode, like we are, and not in a growth mindset, not in a learning mindset, then every single thing that happens to us is just a punishment and nothing more. We don't learn anything from it. We don't get anything from it. Does the Muslim community, we went through a global pandemic. Are we ready for the next one? Is there a plan? Is there a strategy? Do we have, how will we find out? How will we do? Everything we leave to the non-Muslims. I hope the non-Muslims are working on it because we're not working on it. I hope the non-Muslims are working on a cure for cancer because we're not working on it. I hope the non-Muslims are working on electric cars and electric airplanes because we're not working on it. We're doing nothing. Absolutely zero. And what can we do? Most of us, remember these statistics. 45% of the Muslim world is illiterate. 45% cannot even read or write your name. And the only statistic we remember, 2 billion, mashallah, 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. Oh, just what? 3 billion. There are more ants, by the way. And they probably achieve more. So don't fool yourself. Do not live in a utopia, because the student who lives in utopia was guaranteed to fail. The one who understands the depth, the reality of their situation, the seriousness of their situation, might change it. So don't live in utopia. 45% are illiterate. Everything is training. Like the way that we did this webinar is a training. You should ask yourself, right, how did it go? What went well? What went wrong? What did the speaker say that I didn't like, and how could he have done it better? How would I do it if I was going to do it better? And how would I arrange it so that there would be 4,500 people? And is Zoom the best way, or what can we use a different? Everything is training for those who are in that growth mindset. So be in that growth mindset. As to the unity, what books you should read, I don't want to limit the books you should read. All I'm going to tell you is read books. That's what I'm going to say now. There are two types of people in this world: those who read books and those who are the slave of those who read books. If you don't read a book, then you are the slave of somebody else who has read a book and who's controlling your mindset, the way you think, the way you act, whether you like it or not. Do not be a slave to somebody else. Read your books. Read everything. Read the seerah, read the hadith, read about Napoleon. Do you know Napoleon used to have, because he used to like reading, so Napoleon used to have his library. He told, write my favorite books, write them in miniature, and keep them in a bookcase that I can travel with me, even when, because he's always on the battlefield. So I want to be able to read it in my free time on the battlefield. And he would have the Quran in there. And the books would be arranged in the mini bookshelf. You can see it online, mini bookshelf. They would be arranged according to subject, anatomy, philosophy, and this and that, and so on. But he had the Quran in his bookshelf, mini bookshelf. Where did he file the Quran? He did not file the Quran under faith, religious books. He filed the Quran under politics. Because he knows more. It seems like he understood more about our religion than we do sometimes. So read. All I'm going to tell you is read. Doesn't matter what you read. The more, just read and read and read. It's not, because the more you read, the more you learn, the more you gain, the more you understand, the wider your expanse, the more you can earn from others. And remember, our religion is the one where the Prophet ﷺ said that knowledge is the lost property of the believer. So wherever you go, that's our knowledge. You can take it. I'll show you. Just because I'm on my phone, I'll show you some of the books, for example, that I have. Because it doesn't. Once a scholar came to my house and he saw. I have the usual books. You will have the Islamic books and so on and so forth. But then I have books like books on Alex Ferguson, astronauts, Lyndon Johnson, the founder of Nike, the founder of Google. The rise and fall of the British Empire. And he said, why do you have these books? They have nothing to do with Islam. I was like, they have everything to do with Islam. Because if you think that they have nothing to do with Islam, then you think that Islam is a religion only about five pillars, and that's it. There's a lot of Islam in those books, but you have to go and find them. And the last point, as Sister Farida was saying, why can't we unite? We've got 2 years of genocide. The reason we can't unite is because we are too happy in doing things that aren't going to work. We protest, we boycott, we write letters, and we know. I'm not saying don't do this. They don't require sacrifice. I can go walk on a protest, I can write a letter, and I can boycott. It's very easy for me to do this. But unity is a proactive step. I'll give you another statistic. The Pew Research Center, they did a study of the Muslim world. They found out that more Muslims fast in Ramadan than believe in Allah. So, what I'm saying is that because there's a group of Muslims that are atheists, there are more Muslims who fast in Ramadan than actually believe in Allah. So there are even Muslims who are atheists, who don't believe in Allah, but they fast in Ramadan. Why? It makes no sense. It makes sense because they're just giving something up. It's a passive process. Fasting is a passive process. They're doing it because it's cultural, they're doing it because of health reasons, whatever they are, they're doing it. But they don't believe in Allah. But the other pillars require activity, require sacrifice. Praying 5 times a day, going on Hajj requires some sacrifice, material sacrifice, time sacrifice, energy sacrifice. So that's much harder to do. Those numbers will be less. Unity requires sacrifice. You know what unity means? Unity means that we have to decide one of us in this room is in charge. And that even if I say go left, they say go right, we will go right. I don't want that unity then. I don't want it. Unity means that we have, we got 10 mosques, but one mosque is in charge. No, I don't want them to be in charge. Unity means I want to do Eid on Sunday and they want to do Eid on Monday. Don't want the unity. Unity requires some sacrifice. And every one of us, we would prefer to be our own boss and no one above us. No one to tell us what to do. No one to tell us off. No one to make a decision that we have to follow. Discipline and sacrifice, we don't have that. So that's why we don't have unity. And that's why we need the muazzins, the iqama of unity, to tell people that I feel like we've reached a point where we cannot afford to be disunited anymore. Literally, people are dying every single day, and they were dying before Gaza as well. Our people, our brothers and sisters in the Rohingya were suffering before that. Syria was before that. Sudan is Muslims fighting Muslims, right? So we are in this situation because we refuse to sacrifice.
Okay. All right. If any audience, any other questions, you can please either type it in the chat or you can ask your question. Yeah, Brother Armakan has another question. Brother Armakan, go ahead. You can go unmute yourself.
All right, so Jazakallah, Dr. Muhammad, for that clarification. I did explain quite a few points. I have just one more question, and it's I'd say a bit smaller. It's more, you could say, related to VOTP in like this sort of organization. So I was wondering because VOTP, it's sort of like we've started. Well, I mean, I didn't start. I'm just a member, volunteer, but Ms. Farhana and Ms. Farida, they started it about 2 years ago, and mashallah, they're putting in the work and making effort. But I was wondering because we're speaking of unity and like creating muazzin, so obviously I assume that includes people that can write articles and publish sort of stuff on our behalf. So how would, for example, on an organization this size, what skills and what resources would we need to actually produce our own you could say narrative or produce muazzins, as you said? Because a lot of people are, they're happy to give money and stuff like that. But I was wondering, how do we get them to, invest in VOTP in that sense? Not money, but resources, people, etc., etc.
It's a good question. I'll tell you again. I'll reply with a story, and I hope this makes sense for what I'm going to say. When I was at university, I was leading a charity project called Charity Week. So we would get all the Islamic societies, Muslim students in the university to raise funds together in 1 week for orphans and needy children. And it grew, alhamdulillah, from my university. It went across London, then across UK, and now in 9 countries in the world. Alhamdulillah, in the same week, they all raise money. In the early years, one of my friends who was involved, he came to me, he said, Wajid, I think we need to do something else. I was like, what happened? He said, I watched a video about bone marrow transplants. And it's very clear that not enough of the Asian community or the Muslim community give any bone marrow for transplants. And so the children, the young children from the black and ethnic minority, they're dying at a higher rate because they don't have the match. And I watched that video and he goes, we must do this. We must stop the charity work and we must do this. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And he became upset. He said, what are you talking? I just told you there are children dying because we haven't done this. We have to do this work. I said, look, brother, I know what's going to happen. You want to do the work, but you don't want to do the effort involved to do the work properly. He goes, no, I'm going to do it properly. I said, no, what you're going to do is you're going to start doing the bone marrow transplants, right? You're going to tell everyone about it? He's like, yes. I was like, I'll tell you exactly what will happen. You're going to start, with your enthusiasm, you'll get 2 or 3 people to help you. And other people, they will like not really be there because, this is not their passion. You'll do a few events because 2 or 3 of you are enough. You do a few events. And like 1 million Muslim projects before and 1 million Muslim projects to come, it will disappear when you get bored, tired, married, something happens. That's it. Khalas, it's gone. And what I am going to do is I'm going to build an organization that's going to bring all the Muslim healthcare workers together. And we're going to inspire them to work together, to build structures, to build infrastructure nationally all across the country. Medics, physios, pharmacists, nurses, all of us. And then they will have a team, and one of their teams, sub-teams, will be for organ donation, and one of the sub-teams of the sub-team will deal with bone marrow transplant, and they will do the work. I might never do the work, but I'm going to build the infrastructure, which will mean that the work gets delivered not just now, but will continuously get delivered going forward, inshallah. But the problem is, what you're doing, you get immediate gratification out of it. You feel good about yourself, but there's no roots, there's no foundation. Was what I'm going to do, I don't see the fruit of my effort. Maybe I'll never see the fruit. Maybe I'll see it in 10, 20 years. But it's building the foundation that others can build on and grow and grow and grow. And that's exactly what happened. 2, 3 years, he's finished. He's not involved with anything now. I met him recently. What do you do? He's not doing anything at the moment. And I was part of the team that helped build the British Islamic Medical Association. The British Islamic Medical Association started 11 years ago with 100 people. It now has 11 or 12,000 members across the UK. And it has a sub-team, which is organ donation. It has another and the sub-team of the sub-team, which did the second largest bone marrow transplant event in the history of the UK. So what I'm trying to tell you is, don't immediately go for, I'm going to write articles. Build the team, build the network, build the culture. Is there a strategy for getting volunteers in? Is there a strategy for looking after those volunteers? What happens when those volunteers get here? How can they grow? And then how do you structure yourselves? Where do you what's your main vision? What's your goal? What's your priority? What's the need that you're fulfilling in the Muslim community? If you all work together, otherwise what will happen is you come, you do a few articles, you go, it'll be gone. And the same 2 or 3 people working very hard are going to be still working hard in 2 or 3 years' time. It will never grow. So I would say build the foundations. As the best way I put it was I gave once a talk on the life of Salahuddin. And when I finished, my friend who was the host, he said one sentence, it was worth more than my talk. He said, I guess the problem today is we all want to be Salahuddin, but no one wants to be his father. That's the problem. Don't be Salahuddin, be his father, be his mother, be his teacher. And then one day we'll have Salahuddin, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, Brother Wajid, for this profound answer, inshallah. Yes, another thought which comes to my mind is regarding the big international corporations like the OIC. How much should we depend on them? They have really not performed at all. Is there any role of economic unity, economic currency, strategic planning? I mean, do we even have to? I mean, I guess the performance is not there, but any role? What do you see their role as, or we should independently institutions?
I don't think anyone thinks they have. They were not designed to have that role. right? So, like you look at a restaurant and you don't think, why is that restaurant not doing heart surgery? It was never designed to do that. It was designed to be a restaurant. It was designed to be a talking shop, so it is a talking shop. And same with the United Nations. Everyone's saying United Nations, but United Nations was designed as a form of hegemony after World War II. It was not designed to actually build equality or justice. It was designed to make sure that those who won World War II continue winning for the next 100 years, and that's what they're doing. So we have to, but what is it? Think global, act local. Like the global players will do what they're doing, but let's act local, inshallah. We can actually have a huge impact if we act local. If this Muslim country, the Muslim community in this country got our act together, we would be a huge source of good. We would make the OIC look stupid if we wanted to, inshallah.
Inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us accomplish that soon, inshallah. All right.
I mean, just checking, is are most of the people in the chat in the UK, or are you in lots of different countries?
I'm actually out of Dallas, US. But most of
okay,
the others, most of the others are actually out of UK. Yeah.
UK, Pakistan,
Pakistan as well.
India.
Okay, around the world, wherever you are in the world, there you know that we're suffering from this disease, right? So be a part. There's a great saying by Malcolm X: if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. So be part of the solution, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So, Brother Wajid, tell us how can we get people together? I mean,
how can we what?
How can we get people together on the same page?
Very simple. So two things. One is a vision. People are looking for a vision, right? The whole community is looking for someone who's got a plan, who's got an idea, because we feel lost. What's going on in the world, right? And especially Muslims. So if you want to get people on the same page, you tell them a dream, not the plan. That we forget this, right? Martin Luther King did not say, I have a plan, because I have a dream. What's our dream, right? And then we'll find a way to make that dream happen, inshallah. Number two is by doing activity. People go where there is activity, where there is fun, where there's interesting things, so get your community together and do something. And think a little bit outside the box. We make Islam so boring. It's not supposed to be a boring religion. Whether it's getting your community together and saying, right, let's do a quiz tournament for the young people. Let's get our community together and let's do a street cleaning drive. Right? Why are Muslim areas always the dirtiest areas? Let's be honest. Right? Always the dirtiest areas of any multicultural city. We there's dirt, there's filth. Why do we have drug problems? We have every problem. If you got together and you acted on a problem, people will join you. Non-Muslims will join you, because everyone appreciates someone who is doing something to solve a problem for common good, for humanity. Look, I'll give you an example. That's Zohran Mamdani in New York, right? Whatever you think of him, why do non-Muslims like him? So many non-Muslims like him so much. It's not because he's saying Islam is the best religion, 5 pillars, let me show you how I pray. None of that. He's just saying, you have a problem with your rent, you have a problem with safety, I'm going to work on those problems. That's what matters to you, right? I'm here to work for your problems. That's what I want to do. It's the same anywhere. So get your community together and start working, start cleaning the streets, start doing something. The youth will flock to you, the non-Muslims will flock to you, your people will flock to you. There will always be people who say, no, why are you doing it? You're just wasting your time. And then even those ones will flock to you. Do something. And there are too many problems in the world for us to say, which one do we start with? Start with any problem. Start small. Don't let it be big. Start small. Make it happen, inshallah. I'll give you one example. We did it in COVID. It's WhatsApp. It makes life so much easier. If you see something good or useful, do a webinar. Guys, I'm going to do a webinar. I'm just motivating one. I'm an engineer. I'm going to do a webinar, how to get engineering, top 5 tips, right? Oh, I'm going to do a webinar. What, like my uncle had a heart attack. I just want to talk about this so that maybe we can encourage people to read that. Go to the ones who cater for the weddings and say, we're going to get a team together. We're going to go to the people who cater to the weddings and say, reduce the oil and the sugar by 10%, please. Too much diabetes, too much heart attacks in the community. And they will do it. And if you do it, we're going to advertise yours, etc., etc. There's a million things to do. Think of something, brainstorm, come up with ideas, start somewhere, anywhere, and you will see the people flock and then go to the next one. But what I'm saying is the infrastructure, right, the team, and then you do the project, right? Because that team who believes in it is really, really important. If you start doing a project and then you try to sell them the vision, you're gonna dragging people, come, oh, I don't want to come, I'm busy, I'm tired, and then it's gonna be very difficult. So you always start with the vision, that's the base of the pyramid. The next level is the team, and the last level is what do you do? The smallest part, but the part everyone sees, is the apex of the pyramid. Start with the vision. Sell the vision, build your team, and finally do something that encapsulates the vision in practice, and that works. That's why we were doing the charity project, because it was a unity. We did the charity project, but what we were saying is, alone, each university, they can only buy some food or they can only buy some medicine. But when all the universities come together, we could build a hospital. So when all the universities united, we built 17 hospitals in Syria in 1 year. 17. And by the way, that wasn't the only project. We also built an orphanage in India. We also built a school in Niger. We also built, and so on and so forth. Because when we unite together, we're able to do so much more than when we work separately. So that was a charity project. We do CPR project in the BIMA. We teach CPR, like basic life support. We teach that in the mosques, and that's coming up every year. That's the last Saturday of September. So that's coming up at the end of this month, inshallah. It's taking place in 20 countries. If you know CPR, or if you know someone who knows CPR, get in touch. Just go and teach it. When I taught it, it's free, right? It's the knowledge is in my head. It doesn't cost any money. I just have to go to my masjid and I have to teach them how to do it. I don't even need any equipment. When I taught it for the first time in my mosque, in the question and answer session, the one brother, I said, anyone have any questions? I said, one brother said, I have only one comment. I said, what's that? He said, if you taught me this last year, maybe my daughter would still be alive. I felt like the ground should swallow me. This knowledge is in my head. It's just that I didn't have, the infrastructure doesn't exist to teach it, which is why if you have a cardiac arrest in Seattle, you have a 33% chance of survival. 33%, because everyone in Seattle from school age is taught CPR. Do you know what your chance of survival is in Karachi or Mumbai? 0%. So again and again, the statistics can just keep coming. The event is the last piece of the puzzle. Build a team, start the vision, inshallah. Sorry, I talk too much and I tell too many stories. So I'm going to be quiet now.
SubhanAllah, very, very profound ideas and insights. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khairan. I think we have Abdullah. Yes, but Abdullah, if you want to go ahead and raise your hand, and inshallah, we are coming on the hour. Yeah. Brother Abdullah, please unmute yourself. Yes, go ahead.
Assalam.
Yeah, so it's a very nice talk, and Jazakumullah khair for all this. During your talk, actually, you made a point that the main issue that our Ummah is facing is the lack of planning and a lack of unity, right?
Yeah.
But what do you think? Don't you think that this in and of itself is a symptom? Because the actual perhaps disease is the lack of connectivity with the Book of Allah. We are so disconnected with the Book of Allah that we are not united. We don't have perhaps we are facing the identity crisis issue, especially if I talk about here in Pakistan. We are, the youth here is really confused, especially because of social media and YouTube. We are told through various YouTube channels and YouTubers that we belong to Indus Valley civilization, and and have less, you know, I mean, there is a whole lot of identity crisis, and because of that, we don't have a common purpose. And since we don't have a common purpose, we are not united. What do you think?
I disagree. I disagree because I think a lot of people, especially the scholars, say the problem we have is we're not connected enough to the Quran and Sunnah. Untrue. Realistically,
Mm-hmm.
this generation, especially those who are slightly older, will remember this generation is actually much more religious than in the 60s and 70s, right? 60s and 70s, you had a large group of Muslims who were communist, socialist, pan-Arabist. How many women wore hijab? How many people wore niqab? How many people were hafiz and going? It was unheard of, right? You were religious, you were in the madrasa, and if you were you were secular, that means you had a job, right? Now there are more Muslims. I know that we have a problem, but now more young Muslims are praying, they're fasting, they're reading Quran, they're becoming. And I'm not saying that all of them are, but the numbers of us who are doing good are increasing. It's but just learning Quran is not enough. You have to live it. Reading Quran, connected to the Quran means zero if as a community we don't come together. I'll give you an example. When Genghis Khan came to Bukhara to destroy it,
Mm-hmm.
the Emir of Bukhara, because all the Muslims they were scared, so they went into the Grand Mosque of Bukhara. And the Emir of Bukhara came to them and he said, "You can relax now. We have done the Khatm of Bukhari Sharif. You don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about Genghis Khan. We've done Khatm. You know, they all got killed except one little boy. Every one of them got killed. This is not the Sunnah of Allah. If that was the Sunnah that we were not connected, that means our madrasa students, that means our scholars and ulama would be at the forefront. They would be leading the way. None of that is true. None of that is accurate. That more connected you are to Quran, that means you have a better vision. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that means that you are going to be a better Muslim yourself, maybe individually, or maybe you know the Quran. It does not mean that we work together. It means we will die separately as good Muslims, mashallah. We will be genocided separately as Hafiz of Quran, mashallah. We will die and we will continue. The great reformer of Islam in Turkey, Erbakan, he was the mentor of the current President Erdogan. He said that my whole life, my old teachers would tell me, sit and read the Quran, sit and read Quran and Hadith. And whenever I would sit and read the Quran and Hadith, the Quran and Hadith would tell me, get up and work. You need that balance. I know that it's good to be connected, but that's not the disease that's affecting us. If all of us were connected to Quran, doesn't mean that we'll be connected to each other. We will still fight each other. We will still be separate in our separate countries, but we will just be very religious, mashallah, connected to Quran. You go to Egypt, go look at Egypt, mashallah. They're amazing recitation. They have Al-Azhar, they have this and the other, and what did they do? They live under a tyranny, and they're not able to move out of that tyranny. And then they work with them. They built the tyranny. They with their own hands. They put it in themselves. What can you say? Not all of them, enough of them. And the ones who are there, mashallah, from Al-Azhar, telling you, don't talk about Gaza. They don't have knowledge of the Quran. They have knowledge of the Quran, but that knowledge is not enough to bring us together. We need for us to work together, inshallah. And on Islam, we're not communist, right? We're not coming together just all hold hand because we're anti-imperialist or whatever. Quran is always our basis, but just that's not the disease affecting us. That's what I remember. That's why it's very, very important. A lot of people say that our disease affecting us is we're not good Muslims. No, the people of Gaza are great Muslims, mashallah, actually, compared to us. The disease affecting us is that we're not educated. Actually, the people of Gaza are the most educated Muslims in the Middle East. The disease affecting us is that we're militarily weak. Actually, that is a symptom of bigger problems. Or we're economically weak, so there are many economically strong countries. Disease affecting us is it doesn't matter what you are. If you are disunited, you will be defeated. Guaranteed. Sorry, it's a good.
Yeah, again, the point is, I mean, how to unite this ummah? Because if this is a disease, how to remove it? I mean, there must have been some common purpose. No?
Yeah, the common purpose for us to work together is that only when we work together, Islam remember, Islam is a team religion, right? We cannot really do zakat without us being united together. We cannot really do even Hajj, like the way that we do Hajj, everything we do is only half done properly because we don't have a unity amongst us. So Islam exists in its true form as a united community, which is able to raise the banner of Islam high, which is able to showcase the real Islam. There is no Islamic economics, right? You have capitalism, you have socialism. Where's Islam? Nowhere. You have democracy, you have communism. Where's Islam? Nowhere. You have social media, you have AI. Where's Islam's role? Nowhere, right? And all we do is maybe we write Islam and ethics. We do a few seminars. We're not in the society. We're not in the civilizational game. We are like one of the British soldiers. He wrote that in World War II, the Germans and the British and the Americans were fighting in North Africa. And first the British conquered North Africa, then the Germans conquered it, and then the British and the French came and conquered it again. And they said that we were coming back and forth conquering North Africa, and these Muslims were just sitting there watching us. They could have just been part of the scenery, right? They were just part of the scenery. They were not even on the like we're not even pawns on the chessboard. We're the scenery. We're the background scenery. He said there were sand dunes and there were people, and it doesn't really matter to us who they were because they were just like animals. They were animals and they were these guys. Who cares? And that's who we are right now. The world is making great strides. They're thinking about going to Mars. They're doing this, they're doing that. We're here. We need to change that. And that common purpose and that vision is that we need the Muslim Islam to be a unified entity again. We need to be united locally, regionally, and so on, so that we can show the true face of Islam. You cannot show the true face of Islam in your community if you're not united. You will always, even if you are the best Muslim, they will always say that you are Abdullah, Abdullah is a good person. But the Muslims, I don't like them. Why? Because they're doing drugs, because they're dirty, because they're this, because of that. That's why we need unity. When we are united, entire countries will become Muslim. When we're disunited, if one person becomes a Muslim, we celebrate because we know that they've swum against the tide. Again, I talk too much.
No. Subhanallah. Very, very useful and giving good, good clarity and good insights, inshallah. So inshallah, I think we'll go ahead and, it's 1 hour. Yeah. Go ahead, Spider.
There are a few questions on chat, Sister Vernon. Sister Azwa is sort of asking, that and I think I agree with Sister Azwa, there's a lot of people stand up and we are unwilling to take them as leaders because we've seen so much go wrong with doing wrong by leaders. So how do we know we have to follow them and trust them, or how do we solve this problem? Because we, even if I stand up with something, I am looked on as whether she can be trusted. We doubt people so much.
True. Leaders have to earn trust.
Mm-hmm.
We have to, and it's not given. That means we have to serve, and we have to, and the people will be suspicious, and they are right to be suspicious because we have been bitten many times, and many people have agendas, personal and private agendas, and so the leader will have to be patient. But that's the quality of leadership. It's one person told me the quality of leadership is basically infinite patience. Just constantly, you have to be patient with your people and constantly pushing, and constantly reaffirming the vision, reaffirming the goal. Why are we here? What are we here for? So you have to earn trust. We won't get it given, and we have to, and we will. It will take a long time and will take effort. But if you stay the road, then you will get there. And we have been burnt many times, unfortunately. Leaders have been burnt, and the people have been burnt. Once I had a friend. He was the international director for a project. He was a guest of honor in the first event we had in Germany. So he went to the event. I couldn't go. He went instead. And the Germans phoned me and they were very angry. And you know, when you have an angry German on the phone, you get worried. So I was like, what's going on? And they said, he's not sitting down. I was like, well, who's not sitting down? They're like, the international director, he's not sitting down. What's he doing? They say he got off the airplane, he came to the venue, and he's setting the tables and he's setting the plates. And we're telling him sit down, and he's setting the table and the plates. I said, oh, he's not setting the table or the plates. And they told me, yes, he is. We can see him. He's doing it. I said, no, he's setting an example. That's what he's doing. That he's the international director. He got off the plane. That he's here to work. He's one of you. And when he does that, he will win your heart. And that is more important than any title can be. And that's what happened. So yes, it's difficult. And yes, you will be burnt. But if you are a leader, I would say you need to earn the trust. And if you're a follower, then you need to follow your leaders properly, inshallah. Work hard, serve them. Do not test them, but serve them, inshallah.
Inshallah, yeah, that's I think most of us feel that the patience is lacking. We want the quickness and everything.
Oh yes.
You're
Yes,
right.
that's what I said. That's the thing. Everybody wants to be Saudi, nobody wants to be his father, right? The patience is lacking. We don't want to build the infrastructure. We want the results, but we don't want to work for it. We want to pass the exam, but we don't want to study.
Yeah. Sister Seema has asked that how can we unite Muslims globally, like for Muslims in Jordan, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Syria? How can we unite them? How can we connect them all?
You like, first of all, Mark Zuckerberg and Google have done half the work for us. You're all in different countries and we're already speaking, but really you start at home. It's you start locally. We're always, again, trying to think about how do we unite countries when our neighbors down the street are not united with us. Our non-Muslim neighbors down the road don't like us. Like as soon as a Muslim gets money, they move out of Muslim area, right? Because it's dirty, crime-ridden. It's not a nice place to live. We have to change that. So unity starts at home, and then it multiplies out. And we all are thinking about how to save Gaza, but we can't save ourselves. That's what one Palestinian told me. He goes, you can't even save yourself. How can you save me? So save ourselves first. And the airplane, they always say, if Nozabillah, there's an emergency, put your mask on, then your child. Doesn't matter how good a parent you are, put your mask on first, because if you try to put on your child's, you're going to faint. It's not good for you. Neither of you will have a mask. Put your mask on first. So let's do that, inshallah.
I think there's one more question on there from Brother Abdullah. He says, we raise our IQ, we become competent. How do we get to those access points, those roles in the political system where we can change things and change policies? How do we do that?
There are ways to do that. There are Muslims who are doing that, who are good in public affairs, who are in politics. There are Muslim think tanks. But again, I would say that if you're in that zone, if you want to go into that zone, then you study the right things, you join those organizations that specialize in the area. But I don't think about that because it's not my area of specialty or not my interest. What I think about is remember that story I told you about the bone marrow transplant and the thing. Even those who are working in those areas, they don't have money. They don't have support. They don't have, whenever you speak to them, they say the same thing. The Muslim Ummah does not have my back. I get no support from them. They will spend £50,000 on a wedding and they will argue with me for £50 for this. But they all want to see where's the strategic output, where's this. So our job, some of us will be working in those areas, but actually most of us should be working on building our functional society. If you can build one functional society in your neighborhood, right? If your neighborhood became a functional society where, the children who are orphaned aren't left to be fostered wherever, where you solve domestic violence. The divorce rate isn't 50%, which is reaching in some Western countries for Muslims, by the way, where there aren't advanced, where and so on and so forth. If you can solve literally just one neighborhood like that, you will have done a great deal for not just the Muslim world, but like for the entire community and the country, because you will have shown that the worst of the worst, the people who are at the lowest end of the ladder, can pick themselves up and can change things. And then you can start thinking about, how do we support these guys politically? How do we support that think tank? How do we do this? How do we do this? And how do we do that? But if you tried right now to do that, you would be just one person on your own. And again, you would be another like I like to say, you'd be another companion in the shipwreck. We need a lighthouse on the shore. We don't need another person who's with us in the shipwreck, who's like, oh, I too am struggling now with you. I need someone to say, I've got a funding problem. I need someone to sort out the funding problem. Or I've got a marketing problem. I need some people to come together and sort out the marketing problem for the community, as opposed to just join me. So now we all have a marketing problem.
So does that mean, Brother Wajid, that we should be focusing on our project, and we get dispersed. We do get dispersed when we hear the news on Palestine, on Sudan, and we think, oh, we should be doing something. What will we say on Judgment Day if we didn't do something? So it's like, what should be our strategy? Is it we are working in cities, or?
I'll tell you how I answer that question. Of course, we should make dua. Of course, we should give money. Of course, we should go on the marches, or we should boycott. Of course, that's the minimum.
Mhm.
But my answer, I hope, on Judgment Day is that what I did for the people of Palestine is I built the infrastructure to make sure that this never happens again. Because this would not happen to the smallest village in China, would it? Why not? Yeah. We actually got double the number of people in China, and the whole Muslim Ummah together has more money than China, and we have more soldiers, and we have more everything than China. But they couldn't do this to one village in China because China is united. So if you touch 1 inch of China, the whole of China will make sure that you pay for it. We can do nothing. We can do nothing. So what I'm saying is that your project, even if let's say you had a project which was to help young students get into, be motivated and inspired to find a career. So you got maybe, doctors, lawyers, engineers, whatever, to come, journalists, to come and talk to them about their career, just to inspire them in your area. You are part of the problem. You are part of the solution for Palestine. And you will say to yourself, well, how? How is this so important? Because if there are more young Muslims who are not unemployed, who are educated, who have a good job, who have a good position, who earn a good amount of money, then we have more basic human capital. And if we have more good basic human capital, then we are able to build more institutions. If we're able to build more institutions, then we're able to build better infrastructure. If we're able to build better infrastructure, then we'll be able to put more political pressure. And if we're able to put more political pressure, then we will have more impact on Palestine. It starts somewhere. But we all want, no, just solve it now. Just solve it now. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to build the infrastructure. Yes, 50% of us are divorced. Yes, 45% of us are illiterate. Yes, 10% of our children are murtad. Yes, we are going to drugs. Yes, we don't have, and they're completely uninspired. Yes, we have no vision. But I want to save Palestine now. Does it make any sense? Make it make sense to me. It makes zero sense. Why should they even listen to us? Who are we asking anyway? We're asking the people who are doing the killing to stop the killing. It's like a sheep asking a butcher, can you please stop doing this? It's like, I'm a butcher. This is my job. Why are you asking me to do that? So we have to, what I'm saying is everything you do is part of the solution if you get into the unity mindset. Right? Because if you've got the unity mindset, you're like, I am building the infrastructure. That means that we are no longer going to be so, whether it's I'm going to be motivating people, I'm inspiring people, or I'm educating people, I'm improving their physical health because we have problems with our physical health. I'm working on mental health because every single piece of the puzzle helps build the entire mosaic, inshallah. And that is going to be the solution.
Thank you, Brother Wajid. I think that kind of gives us the satisfaction, doesn't it, Sister Farhana, that whatever we are doing, sometimes we feel really down because we're not making a difference. It seems like we're not, but every one of us, I think, is involved in doing something that is valuable. We need to grow that and make our community stronger and care for each other and unite in that way with each other.
Exactly. Please, that's like if you if as a group, if you did something for somebody else, if you want people to like you, do your job well. If you want people to love you, help them do their job. Help somebody else do their job. So as a group, do something for somebody else, and they will love you. They'll say, "Oh wow, why are you doing this?" And just because that's what unity is, actually practical unity. That so you'll find a charity initiative, a dawah initiative, and say, we've got 45, 50, 60 people. We're going to come to your thing. We're going to come online. We're going to do a fundraiser for you, an online fundraiser. And here's an online page and launch good, and we'll all pay into. Why are you doing that? We just want to be part of it. That's how, again, you grow the unity, inshallah. So there are 100 different ways that you can do it, inshallah. But anyway, I'm going to stop now. Jazakallah khairan, everyone. Thank you, and apologies for dragging this on longer. I think it was supposed to be an hour, but I dragged it out a bit longer for you.
Alhamdulillah, it's very beneficial.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome.
Alhamdulillah. Very beneficial. Jazakallah khairan, Brother Mohammed Wajid Akhter, and Jazakallah khairan for all the audience and the participants, for the engagement, for the questions. And inshallah, I think we have, each one of us want to, reflect on this session and take down our action points, inshallah, to move forward from here. So just a reminder, we are going to have the next week's session, Sunday on, riba, how to, solve this problem of riba by Brother Waqas Ahmed, coming on the VOTP platform next Sunday at the same time. So please log in at that time as well. And inshallah, we'll go ahead and close. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والأسر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Jazakallah khairan.
Okay.